The jahiliyya period, often translated as the Age of Ignorance, refers to the pre-Islamic era in Arabian society before the advent of Islam in the 7th century CE. During this time, various tribes in the Arabian Peninsula practiced polytheism, engaged in intertribal warfare, and upheld customs that included severe social injustices. One of the most horrific practices documented from this era was female infanticide, where newborn baby girls were sometimes buried alive shortly after birth. This act stemmed from cultural and economic factors. Daughters were often seen as a financial burden due to the dowry system, a source of shame if captured in raids, or simply less valuable than sons in a patriarchal, warrior-based society. Families feared poverty or dishonor associated with raising girls, leading to this brutal form of gender-based violence. Historical accounts suggest this wasn't universal across all tribes, but was prevalent enough to be condemned vehemently in Islamic teachings. The Quran, revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, between 610 and 632 CE, directly addresses and prohibits this practice, framing it as a grave sin and a hallmark of jahiliyya's moral decay. For instance, in Surah At-Takwir, chapter 81, verses 8 to 9, the text describes a scene on the Day of Judgment, and when the girl, who was buried alive, is asked for what sin she was killed. This verse highlights the injustice by personifying the infant girl, emphasizing her innocence and the accountability of those who committed the act. Another reference appears in Surah An-Nahl, chapter 16, verses 58 to 59, which criticizes the jahiliyya attitude toward daughters. And when one of them is informed of the birth of a female, his face becomes dark and he suppresses grief. He hides himself from the people because of the ill of which he has been informed. Should he keep it in humiliation or bury it in the ground? Unquestionably, evil is what they decide. These passages not only denounce the practice, but also promote the equal value of daughters, promising rewards for those who raise them with care and kindness, as echoed in hadiths, sayings of the Prophet. To visualize this somber aspect of history, since no photographs exist from the 7th century, we can turn to modern illustrations and depictions inspired by historical and religious narratives. These artistic representations aim to convey the gravity of the practice without glorifying it, often used in educational contexts to illustrate the transformative impact of Islam on Arabian society. The Quran's condemnation played a pivotal role in eradicating this custom among early Muslim communities. By framing female infanticide as a direct affront to divine justice, Islam elevated the status of women and girls, mandating their protection and equal treatment. For example, Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 19, further reinforces kindness toward women, marking a stark departure from jahiliyya norms. Scholars interpret these verses as part of a broader Quranic ethic against all forms of infanticide, extending to modern issues like gender-selective abortions, though the original context was tied to the burial of live infants. In educational materials and historical analyses, such scenes are sometimes portrayed symbolically to underscore the shift from ignorance to enlightenment. This practice's abolition under Islam is often cited as evidence of the religion's progressive reforms in gender equality for its time. Prophet Muhammad himself is reported to have said, "Whoever has a daughter and he does not bury her alive, does not insult her, and does not favor his son over her, God will enter him into paradise," from hadith collections like Abu Dawud. The transition from jahiliyya to Islam thus represented not just a religious change, but a profound social revolution, ending customs that devalued human life based on gender. For a broader historical perspective, consider this depiction from discussions on the rise of Islam. In summary, the Quran's references to female infanticide in the Jahiliyya period serve as a powerful reminder of pre-Islamic barbarity and the ethical advancements introduced by Islam verses 8 to 9. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. Translation, And when the girl who was buried alive is asked for what sin she was killed, tafsir, this condemns female infanticide, maw'uda, a jahiliyya practice where girls were buried alive due to shame or poverty fears. On Judgment Day, the innocent infant questions her killers, exposing their sin and demanding justice. Ibn Kathir cites Ibn Abbas. She demands restitution for her blood. Hadiths link this to modern issues. Aisha narrated the Prophet calling coitus interruptus minor infanticide. Ma'arif al-Quran rules that burying infants is a major sin. Post-ensoulment abortion, after 4 months, requires blood money, while pre-ensoulment is unlawful but lesser. Birth control is hidden infanticide, per Muslims' hadith, though temporary methods like azl are permissible for valid reasons. This verse highlights Islam's elevation of women's status, abolishing such barbarity and promising paradise for raising daughters kindly,